So hello everybody and thank you for joining me again here at The Good Life with Steve. I'm Steve and I want you to know it is a breezy day, a little chilly here in the DR. It got all the way down to 66 degrees. So you guys up north, we want to give you your cold weather back. We want our warm weather. That's why we came down here and we don't appreciate you sending that stuff down here. We don't need it. So listen, the more I live this retired life, this expat life, the more I realize something simple and yet powerful. And that is that the peace that I found, it's not a place. It's not a beach. It's not a stamp in my passport, but it is a choice. And lately, I've been reminded of a passage that I read in First Thessalonians chapter 11 and in chapter 4 and verse 11, where it says that we should make it your life, or that you should make it your life to lead a quiet life. Make it your you should make it your ambition to live a quiet life, to mind your own business, and to work with your hands. Those three things. Now, I don't know about you, but the first time I heard that, it sounded like something that you would hear old people say in church. But I guess I'm an old people now. And now that I'm retired and living here in the Dominican Republic, if I'm being honest, that passage hits differently. Because I'm retired, I'm away from the grind, I'm away from the noise. And that verse, it feels like a blueprint to my life that I didn't even know that I needed. And so today I want to talk to you friend to friend, if I could be so presumptuous, not to preach to you, because I'm not a preacher, not a pastor, not a poet, not a prophet. Could be a plumber. And I'm not gonna try to teach you anything. I just want to share with you what I've learned living a peaceful, quiet life here abroad, and how this verse has become somewhat of a compass or even a North Star for me since I've been here. So if we can do this together, let's get started. You know what's funny? When most people think about moving abroad, they think about the excitement, they think about the adventure, they think about the newness, and that's fine because surely that exists. But the real gift is something nobody ever talks about. It's the quiet, not the silence, but the quiet. The quiet in spirit, the quiet in mind, the quiet in my schedule, thank goodness, the quiet in my expectations. Of course, back in the States, things had a way of being loud, loud with responsibilities, loud with stress, and loud with opinions, loud with comparisons, and loud with the pressures of always having to be turned on, always having to be available. But when you step away from all of that and you slow down, you start to hear yourself again. I know I did. I started to hear myself. I started to hear from the Most High again, and even better, I even started to hear my own heartbeat. I started to pay attention to my own needs. And I started to hear the truth. And that's when I realized something. That the quiet that I have isn't a passive one. It is intentional. You have to choose it. You have to protect it. Because if you don't, you'll find yourself stuck in the noise again. That same old noise that you fought so desperately to get away from. Living abroad taught me that. Here, the pace is slower, of course. People take their time. Conversations aren't rushed. Meals aren't rushed. Even the sun, I know there's 24 hours in a day, but the sun seems to move slowly, even slower across the sky. And in that stillness, you start to see what matters and what doesn't. A quiet life doesn't have to be small, but it means a focused life. At least it does to me. It means you stop chasing things that don't feed your soul, but you chase things that do. It means you stop letting chaos dictate the pace in your life. It means you stop apologizing for wanting calm. And let me tell you, once you taste that kind of quiet, you don't ever want to go back. The passage also tells us that we need to mind our own business. Okay, so boy, that one, you could write a book. But minding your own business is probably the most liberating thing a person could ever do. Living abroad will teach you that quickly. That peace that comes when you stop caring about things that no longer matter. Back home, it's easy to get caught up in drama. The drama of friends, the drama of family, work drama, social media drama, neighborhood drama. If you got an HOA like I had, boy, I tell you. Even the drama of people that you don't even know, but you somehow end up caring about. Probably because the internet makes everything seem so personal. But when you move abroad, something shifts. The focus, or you start focusing on your own healing, not just in body, not just in mind, but in spirit. Your own habits is what you focus on. You focus on your own growth. Focus on your own peace. And you realize you don't even have the energy to be involved in everybody's business anymore. You don't need to be. And let me tell you, a lot of people, and you know them, a lot of people have lost their peace because they're too busy being invested in everybody else's concerns, things that don't even concern them. Who said what, right? Who did what? Who's winning? Who's losing? Who's living large? Who's living not so large? Who's doing worse? Who's doing better? None of that stuff has anything to do with your or my purpose in life. And when you mind your own business, you stop comparing. You stop competing. You stop explaining yourself to other people. You stop defending your own choices and you stop absorbing other people's chaos. You start living. You start waking up in the morning with a clear mind and you start noticing the small joys in life. You start appreciating the simplicity of your own life. And here's the beautiful part. When you mind your own business, you actually become more peaceful, more respectable. People trust someone who stays in their own lane. I think they do. People respect someone who doesn't gossip. I know they do. And people admire someone who focuses on their own growth. It's a kind of strength. Then it tells us to work with our own hands. Now this part, it kind of had me confused, but as I've gotten a little bit older, because I thought it always had to do with manual labor, but as I gotten a little bit older, I think that it has more to do with purposeful living. It's about staying active, I think. Staying useful, being engaged in your life, and when you retire, especially when you retire abroad, you find, you have to redefine work and what it looks like. Because you don't have to clock in anymore. You're not chasing for promotions, elbowing your colleagues out of the way or kneecapping them because you think they're going to get ahead of you. But you're not grinding for survival anymore. But you still need purpose. And that purpose can be something simple, like cooking a meal, maintaining a clean home, learning a new language or a new skill of some type, walking your neighborhood, helping your neighbors, creating something with your hands, taking care of your health. That's key. At least that's key for me. Building a routine that grounds you so that you have something to do all the time, but you're not out there in everybody else's business. This business, this thing that you do, it's yours. And there's a dignity in that. There's a joy in that. There's peace in it. There's a dog barking. I don't know if you guys can hear that. I don't know if the mic will pick that up, but working with your hands is about staying connected with your life in a real sense, in a tangible way. It keeps you from drifting day to day. It keeps you feeling useful. It keeps you from falling into a funk or into a trap of idleness, which is where, well, you know what they say about idle hands, right? You become anxious, and you end up overthinking your own life. Your own thoughts get louder because you're not doing anything. And here's the thing. A simple life creates, well, simple work. We'll put it this way. Simple work creates a simple life. And a simple life creates a peaceful heart. And living abroad has taught me that I don't need much to live a fulfilled life. For me, a clean home, a good meal, a walk in the sun, a conversation with friends and neighbors, a project that keeps my hands busy, gives me a sense of rhythm to my life. And that, my friends, that is abundance. That is enough. That is the good life. That is a life that wins the respect of others, people outside you. And I think that this is probably a part that a lot of people miss or that we overlook. But I think that it might be the heart of the whole verse. A quiet, peaceful, disciplined life speaks for itself. When you live abroad, people watch you. Yeah, they do. Not necessarily in a suspicious way, but in a curious way. They want to see how you carry yourself. They're going to want to see how you treat people. They're going to want to see how you handle stressful situations. They're going to want to see how you adapt, how you live. And let me tell you, locals, they respect expats who live humbly, who's not braggadocious. Remember in a previous video, I told you when you get on a plane and fly down here, don't start acting all brand new. You're still the same person. They respect someone who doesn't act superior. And I know that people who come from quote unquote first world countries tend to do that. They respect people who don't bring chaos to the community, or people who don't depend on someone else to get every little thing done for them. They respect people who contribute to the peace around them. And when you live quietly and you mind your own business and you stay active, people notice. They respect you and they trust you. And in time, they'll even invite you in. Your life becomes a testimony all by itself. Not your words, not your opinions, not your arguments, but your life. Your consistency, your level of calmness, your kindness, your discipline, and your simplicity. That's what wins respect. That is what builds a community around you. That is what creates a life worth living. And so, let me wind this up now because I don't want to go too long. But as I live this expat retired life, I'm learning that the good life isn't a loud one. It's not flashy. It isn't complicated, but it's quiet. It's steady. It's intentional. And thank goodness it's peaceful. And so that verse, 1 Thessalonians 4:11, has become a reminder of the kind of, to me anyway, of the kind of man that I need to be. A man who chooses peace, who chooses to mind his own business, who stays active and purposeful, and a man whose life speaks for itself. And so if you're thinking about becoming an expat, or maybe you just want to find more peace right there where you are, God bless you. I hope this encourages you. Because the quiet life, it's not boring. It's not small and it's not empty. But it is full, it is rich, and it is enough. And sometimes that is exactly what our soul has been waiting for. Thank you so much. Until next time.